Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hello, I hope everybody can hear me.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So before we start, something about me. My name is Jyothi. Just a sec, please, just let me. Yeah, am I audible and am I visible?
It's audible.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's connected. Okay. So before we start, the first thing I would like you to let you know about me. My name is Jyothi Yadav. Also, I do not speak Tamil. I can only understand English and Hindi. So I am really sorry if I'm not able to answer your queries in Tamil. Other than that, my background is I've done my master's and my bachelor's in mathematics, and these are the credentials that I have. Now we are supposed to talk. I'm supposed to talk to you about mathematics optional. So there are few things that you would outrightly like to know. Then exactly what is mathematics about, what this optional is about, and should you take it? Also pros and cons. Particularly, what I want to talk about is should you take it? It's the cons part of it because we already have a lot of information about the pros part since you have decided to hear this session. I'm assuming you have a certain inclination towards mathematics, so that is the reason you probably would have taken it. So I'll now dive into that. First question that I would like to address is which optional you should take. Okay. There are 5 or 6 parameters that you should definitely take care of. One is your academic background, and that becomes very important in mathematics because it is a session where, yeah, so it becomes very important because it's a topic which is very technical, and thus you would need certain background there. Only your 11th and 12th mathematics would not really suffice. You should have certain background at least in 11th, 12th, or at least in graduation, or maybe in your BTech you would have done this topic. So that is that. Second thing is the genuine interest part of it, since mathematics is one of the options, which is considered to be one of the toughest because A, the syllabus is huge. B, the technicalities is huge. So you would need to spend a lot of time there. Okay, I would like to switch off my video. There are some light issues. That's okay. Yeah. So then there is this genuine interest part of it is the syllabus that is very humongous. Then the effort required for the syllabus will also very much. Then third thing I think we should consider is the scoring capacity. That is the past performance of the subject in mathematics. Then the important thing is the spillover effect in other subjects. Then is the coaching available for the subject? And last but not the least, certainly your academic background. So these are the various domains that I would like you to consider when you are taking the decision of choosing an option. Now, hello. Uh,
Uh,
is it fine now?
yeah, the voice is light feeble.
Okay, now is it fine now?
Yeah, it's okay now.
Hello. Yeah, okay. So, see, we have discussed exactly what are the factors that you should consider when you are taking an option. Now we'll dive into mathematics per se. One thing is that you should consider the pros and the cons. There are certainly a lot of good pros. First, the one that I like the most, it's a very fun subject. You can just put your earphones and can keep doing mathematics for hours, and that would not be an issue. Second, your marginal utility in successive attempts is very high. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that if you take an optional, which is essentially arts optional, such as history or geography or sociology or other subjects like public administration, etc., you can never be sure that if you are scoring in first attempt 240, you can never be sure whether you would get 260 in the second time. However, in mathematics, that is the case. You can very easily be sure that in second attempt, you will certainly do better. And that's the beauty of mathematics. Then, yeah. So then the third thing is the biggest concern that we as mathematics students have, or we as UPSC aspirant, I would say, is the answer writing practice part. When I started my preparation, I was very much concerned exactly how do I address answer writing, which all practice I need. But that is something that you will never need to be bothered about, especially in mathematics, because essentially it's just problem solving. You solve the question and that's your answer and you get the answer. Then fourth thing that is important, it is also a subject in IFOS. So you, if you choose to appear for IFOS, you have one subject prepared. I believe there are certain optional such as sociology and others which are not available in IFOS. So there it will help you very good. Then we have the selection rate. A lot of people are getting selected with mathematics. So that is certainly a part of the flaws that a lot of people are coming into it and taking participation. One that I feel very important is the study material is essentially static. So if you go for any art subject, the study material keeps varying. However, in mathematics, it's essentially the same. You need not to be worried about whether Prime Minister went to US or Russia or anywhere. You can just sit at your home and do your derivation. It won't change in entirety for at least 5-6 years that we are going to be here. So then it's essentially you keep practicing and the practice makes you perfect. Okay. Then there is another thing that you are, one thing I have told you that you are very much, this is very important. So what happens is that if you will appear for test series, let's say for GS or let's say for your optional, you will get certain marks. But the issue is that the people who are in various test series are not well qualified to judge your answers. So it has happened to a lot of people that you might score very good in test series in institutes, but you end up scoring very bad in UPSC, and vice versa. You score very bad here, but then you score very good in UPSC. Now that doesn't happen in mathematics. So essentially, if you are scoring good in your test series, you can be very sure that with plus minus 10, 15, you would be around that same range in UPSC UPSC exam as well. However, do factor in the normalization part of it. Now, I have talked to you about the pros part of it, and that is very easy. And that is the reason we all come and we all start preparing and we think, okay, we are going to clear it and it is all going to be hunky-dory. But there are certain cons that you get to know when you start preparing it, when you get into the process and you realize that math is not that a fairy that it seems to be. It's not that easy. Okay. Now, cons is the part where I want to have a discussion with you guys, because essentially this will allow you to stay away from a lot of future troubles, because essentially your choice of optional decides whether you get into the selected list or not. Also, this choice of optional decide whether you stay in the process as well and not. Okay. Now, first is that, see, we all are getting interested in mathematics. You have seen mathematics. We all see toppers getting 350, and then we see, okay, this is an optional we can take, and we get selected. And that is the reason a lot of high numbers of students are essentially taking mathematics. It has increased substantially. Now, if a lot of people are coming, the normalization that UPSC goes through also increases. And it is certainly very high. It is said to be at zero point 0.8, and sometimes it has been said to be 0.7 as well. So that is one issue. The normalization part get very high. Second, UPSC also start asking you very tough Googly questions. Earlier, if you would compare, especially the people who have mathematics background, if you will compare the question paper in 2016, 2011, 12 to 2016, 17 to 2019, 20, you will see a substantial shift that UPSC has started making in the way they frame their questions. There are certainly a lot of googly questions, and that requires deep knowledge. You cannot no longer prepare just few certain specific questions and get away with. It could have happened in 2011, 12, 13 or 14, 15, but it doesn't happen anymore. So you will have to put in extra efforts. Okay. Second thing with the normalization is that the people who score high marks, they are normalized, and people at the end are penalized more. So essentially, what you will see is that there are people who are scoring either very good in mathematics or very bad in mathematics. So you would have to be in a certain spectrum where you certainly perform very well, and that would ensure that you get your name in the list. Okay. So the normalization part is very dicey, and that is something that you need to be assured about. You need to take care, and you need to calculate exactly how much you are able to attempt. Then after that, how much you will do correctly. Then after that, what will happen once you scale it down. That is very important. Second, the syllabus is a lot. It's very lot. Okay, you have applied mathematics, then you have pure mathematics, then we have 4 subjects of physics as well. So no matter which background you come from, if you come from a mathematics background, you certainly would have studied pure mathematics. You would have dabbled a little in applied mathematics, but the physics part of it will be entirely new for you. So you will start there. If you come from engineering background, you certainly have had experience in applied mathematics and in physics part of it, but then you will be stuck in pure mathematics. So these are the domains that you would need to be very careful about, that you will have to keep practicing questions, keep updating questions again and again. Okay. Now, where does that leave us? That leaves us with a very low time for GS. So essentially, mathematics is a very time-consuming option. It is an entertaining option. The hours go by and you don't even realize, but the hours do get by, and your GS is compromised. One. Second thing about the GS, while your time for GS get compromised, your spillover effect of mathematics is very low, essentially in any other subject. In P, it is not going to help you. Slightly maybe in CSAT, but other than that, it is not going to help you. I would say not even in CSAT, because CSAT is essentially 11th, 12th mathematics. If you have decided to take up mathematics as your optional, certainly CSAT would never be your trouble. Okay. Now in pre, it is not going to help you. In mains, no help whatsoever. And as I have recently realized, in interview as well, it is not going to help you, because essentially there are no practical implication or practical things that anybody or any interviewer can ask you. Because of that, now I have to rely on my DAF as well as current affair for very deep studies for my interview. So that leaves me in a limbo. While if you come from an optional, which is sociology or polity or history, anything. So there your optional can become a talking point in interview. So you can be sure that if you have prepared your optional well, you will certainly have certain edge in your interview. Okay, that is something that you need to be very considerate about. Now, this is one of the reasons retention rate in this optional is very low. In my own group, I think 3 people have taken up mathematics and they have given up after 1 or 2 years. But then I have a lot of people in mathematics optional, so that is not that reliable a data. However, that is something you need to be sure about, that if you are going to take this option, you are going to stick with it, because the amount of time you have invested, that makes sure that you need to stay in the process. So before you do decide to get into optional, just be very sure that you will not give up. Okay. Then there is one interesting trend that has come, and why trend has come, because a lot of people have started taking up mathematics as optional. Now earlier, what used to happen is UPSC had certain question, like question number 1, it will be from this any particular subject, let's say modern algebra or pure mathematics or real analysis, let's say. Question number 2 would be from PD or from dynamic and fluid dynamics and mechanics and so on. So what people used to do, they would decide on certain topics and they will only prepare those subjects, and they would leave the physics subject especially. Okay, now what UPSC has done, they have started intermixing. What do I mean by that? If let's say it's question number 6, so in question number 6, you will have one question from PD, you will have one question from numerical analysis, then you will have one question from statics, fluid dynamics, and mechanics. So essentially, if you are going to choose any question, you will have to be fluent in every topic or every subject that we have. So the strategy that earlier used to work, that you pick and choose your subject and leave others, does not work anymore. If you want to be at a higher echelon, you will have to prepare those subjects, and I mean have to. You cannot afford to lose any subject. Okay, you have to attempt a lot of questions. Then the silly mistakes part of it, the possibility of losing marks is very high, because you can keep making silly mistakes, and those silly mistakes will end up eating up into your marks, because essentially it's stepwise marking. Now, see, stepwise marking is a two-edged sword. Now, if you have stepwise marking, you certainly would not lose full marks for any subject. You would certainly get marks. But then that also assures that you lose marks even if you have committed a slight mistake in addition or multiplication. All your subsequent steps go to haywire, and that is a bigger concern here. Okay. Now we have considered what are the pros and the cons part of it. Now let's say you have decided that you do want to stay with this subject and you do want to prepare this. Then earlier we had 5 specific parameters on the basis of which we will judge a subject. So one I said was academic background. If you have your academic background in mathematics, it would make sense that you continue, because A, you will be asked in interview if you had mathematics, why did you choose to go for another optional? B, it will always be better to build up on something that you already know rather than learning a new subject altogether. So that would be very interesting. B, second, you should have genuine interest. Why? Because you would need to prepare a huge amount of syllabus, and for that syllabus, you will need a huge amount of practice. And for that practice, you will need a huge amount of patience. That would only come if you have the genuine interest. Mathematics is not a subject where you can find an interest and get by, especially in subjects like sociology, where you have very limited syllabus. Even if you do not have any interest, you can certainly learn it up or mug it up or do something about it. But that doesn't happen in mathematics. Okay. 3, storing capability. As per past experiences, the storing capability is good. So that way it is a good optional. 4th, spillover effect in other preparation. That is, as I have told you, very bad. So you can even assign negative marks there to mathematics. 4th, coaching availability. That is a very important aspect, especially with the technical subjects like mathematics. Now, I would say the coaching available is not good. However, the resources that are available, they are very organized, I would say. So if you do choose to go for it, I would share a link where you will find all the resources that you would need for this optional. So that is helpful. However, if you require any information about any topic, it would need a lot of efforts on your part to find out the particular topic as well. Even if you go for coaching institutes, many coaching institutes also do not provide appropriate learning. Even in IMS, IMS is known as one of the high names in mathematics coaching, and I have seen they make a lot of mistakes, specifically conceptual mistakes. Further, they will not teach you the physics part of it, the dynamic and static, and as well as the fluid dynamics and mechanics. Also, they tend to rush through a lot of topics that I haven't taken coaching from there, but I do have friends who have taken, and I'm sharing their experience with you. So that would be a concern. Essentially, no coaching institute is going to make everything on platter for you. You will have to certainly take effort. Good thing about that is there are lot many YouTube channels which are coming up and which are taking up mathematics as an optional in view of the increasing demand as well as the increasing interest that people have in this option. Okay, so if coaching is one of your criteria, it's easily available and the material is easily available. Then we have academic background. Okay, so I think I have covered this point. Yeah, I have covered this point. Okay. Now I have discussed what are the pros, what are the cons, what should you decide when you are taking an option. Now, if let's say you do choose to go into this optional and you decide that, okay, mathematics is my calling and I will go forward with it, then we have a certain strategy. And by strategy, I would say this is my strategy. I can only help you, let you know that what worked for me and what did not. However, be mindful of the fact that I have had my graduation as well as my master's in mathematics. So probably if you are one person who haven't had that, maybe my strategy might not work to you. But nonetheless, I would like to let you know exactly what is that I prepared and what are the things that I did, what are the mistakes that I committed, and probably what are the mistakes that you should not commit. Okay. Now I'm going to divide you people into two groups. Group A are the people who have mathematics as a background. Group B are the people, mathematics as a background, as in who has done masters or graduation, etc. And in group B, I would keep the people who have done some mathematics, especially the BTech people, but are not fully aware about the question paper or not fully aware about. So first, if you are a person who has done BSc in mathematics, I would suggest you take up UPSC question paper and try to solve it. Since it's graduation based, at least you would know where is your starting point. Where do you lie in your starting point? Okay. So if you are out of 250, you're getting 100 or 130 or 120, you would know exactly where do you stand and how much momentum you can build. This is what I did when I decided to take mathematics as an optional. I took up the question paper, I solved the question paper, and I realized that maybe with very few additions, I will be able to sail through because I know most of the topics. Now, that would be a very big judgment on your part because you would essentially decide whether mathematics as an option is good for you since you have the background. If after 3 years of your studies, if you're scoring somewhere at 20, 30 or 40, probably it will not be a prudent step for you to go with this option. But if you're scoring something like 90, 80, 90, 100, then certainly it is something that you should look into. Okay. About the people who have done BTech, for them also I would suggest that they have looked at the question paper first. Why? Because A, it will let you know exactly what are the type of questions which are coming. So you can decide what part of syllabus is important and what part of syllabus is not important. Now, I have told you earlier that UPSC has started changing their pattern and they are throwing a lot of googly questions. But if you will see the question paper, you will realize that mostly the googly questions are few and far between, which they are trying to put in to ensure that you get confused somewhere at least. You are not given everything on platter. But if you will see the question paper by large, you will see that certain type of questions are repeated. Okay, so that would help you decide what question you should take and what question you should not take and you should avoid. That is a very important thing. One thing I would like to suggest and I would like to emphasize on, and something that you should do no matter what. You die, but you do not forget this. Okay, you print a syllabus and you print the question papers. And when you do any topic, you keep seeing the syllabus and you keep seeing the question. Why do I say so? Because the beauty of mathematics is that, especially the syllabus part of UPSC, is that it's very concise. So you get identification. Okay, this topic, this topic, this topic, this topic. Okay, you are given pointers and you can take that point and you can see, okay, what do I need to study in that point? Now, if you see the question paper, from that point, you will get to know what are the questions that you need to take up from that point. So you do not waste your time, that I did. You do not waste your time looking around things which are not even going to give you any benefit. So you would want an example. I will give you. Let's say we're talking about linear algebra. Now, linear algebra, that is paper 1, part 1. It has a lot of proofs. It has a lot of proofs. When you will see the IMS notebook, it has a lot of proofs. Now, those proofs are very much important for your concept building. But if you will see the question papers, you will realize that they are never asking the proofs. Okay, they are always asking the questions from there. So what you would do, when you will learn linear algebra, you would certainly understand the proof for your concept part, but you would not end up mugging up the proofs, because you would know that you only need to know the concept and you only need to know the question, only need to know how to do the question. Okay, so that would save a lot of your time. Now, these are the things that I wanted to emphasize on. Now, let's say the strategy. Now, what do? You divide the syllabus. There is already a division, that is paper 1, paper 2. Then in paper 1, we have part A, part B, and vice versa. And similarly, paper 2, we have part A and part B. Now, that is one division. But then there is an alternate division that I am suggesting. That is, one is pure mathematics, one is applied mathematics, and one is physics portion. What do I have in pure mathematics? I have modern algebra, real analysis, calculus, as well as complex analysis. What do I have in applied mathematics? I have OD, CD, vector, linear algebra. I would linear algebra as well as 3D geometry and numerical programming, LPP, all these subjects. What is physics portion? This is the most dicey portion. A lot of people leave this portion, and that is the biggest mistake that they can commit. Okay. If you want to score good in mathematics, you will have to have a command on the physics portion. That is dynamics and statics, as well as fluid dynamics and mechanics. But I would not suggest you to first go into these topics, because these topics are the filler topics. They are dependent on entirely different concepts. So first you need to build upon your core mathematics part of it, and then you should certainly go for the physics portion. Do not miss it. Do not forget about it. Do not ignore it. Do not think that you can sail without these topics. You will never. If you will always remain in middle, you will, if you want to make the jump from middle to the top people, you should have your command on physics. Now, that is my division. After having divided that, what I would do next is I would go for the mathematics curriculum. Exactly what is the component, what is the syllabus, what are the options, what is the content. Now, for this, it is very good, but there is a mathematics drive that I would share with you people. And in this mathematics drive, you have mathematics optional, divided, segregated, organized in every possible way you would want. So in the drive, what you will get subject, you will get the IMS notes on the subject, you will get IMS notes on the subject, as well as you will get the previous year question paper on any subject. Let's see, you are seeing linear algebra. You will get IMS notes of linear algebra, previous year question of linear algebra, IMS test series of linear algebra, every single topic, and that is very well segregated. So beyond that maths drive, honestly, you would not need to pick up any book. Okay, but the maths drive in itself is a very humongous what do you say, is a very humongous source, but that is the source that you would want to rely upon. That is the source where you would want to go. Okay, so you will go to the maths drive, you will check out exactly what are the various subject, what are the various topic, and you will choose your topic from there. You will get your previous year question there, you will get your syllabus there, you will get everything there. Now, one thing that I like to do in my mathematics preparation, and that is very important, is that you do syllabus mapping. What do I mean by syllabus mapping? So I'll give you an example. Let's say we have OD. Okay, so in OD we have first order linear equation, we have second order linear equation and higher equation. Then we have different methods. So what I did was I made a flow chart whereby I divided equations in first order, second order. On first order, I will apply those methods. If the equation is of this type, I will apply these methods. What does that do? So that charts essentially compiles the whole subject in one page. So if I'm in UPSC, what happens? They will ask you a question, and you would not know exactly which part of syllabus that is from, because you no longer have the luxury to have a specific paper. What used to happen in college? I used to go to college and I would know that it is linear algebra paper, and life is easy. But when you are sitting in UPSC exam, you are essentially jumping between various subjects. So this syllabus mapping helps you identify and locate the question, especially in OD and PD. It will help you identify the method you will need to apply to solve that equation, because there are a lot of methods. And if you take your time to decide which method to apply, essentially you have lost the battle. So what you need, you see the question, and you should be able to map it exactly which portion it is coming from, which method I need to use it, and you need to jump right to that point. Now, in that, how my mapping helps you, what I used to do is I used to keep that page in front of me, and I will see the question, and I will like try to identify the question on basis of the maps, the flow chart that I have made. And once I would identify, I would use the same method and I would apply that method, and the solution would come. Gradually, I was able to learn the entire map, and that got imprinted in my mind, and I was able to identify very fast which portion this question is coming from, which method do I need to apply in this question. Okay, so that is something you would need to do to segregate your minds in various compartments to ensure that in examination you are not bogged down, because there are a lot of methods. Okay, you need to be able to choose which method, which skill, which trick you are going to apply in this particular question, because you no longer have the luxury of having a lot of time as well as a linear framework of any subject. Okay, so that would help you. Then third thing, what I would do, I would pick up the IMS notes. See, I essentially studied from IMS notes because I had my graduation background, but I believe you people will need some supplementary information. So you have in that drive a book also, so you can refer those books. I'm sorry, I'm not aware of those books, and I cannot comment upon the quality of those books because I have never read those books, and I do not want to suggest anything which is not something that I have tried and tested. Okay, you can go for yourself, check out those books. Based upon the general quality of that Google Drive, I would say it would be good, because they generally put very quality material there. So that would help you. Okay. Now from those IMS notes, what you do is you study the subject, the topic. For let's say for OD you have first order linear equation. You study that topic and you make very short notes of it. Why do I need to do it? I will tell you later. Okay. Now let's say you have made those short need notes or formula sheets and whatsoever. After that, what should be your strategy? Once you have covered one subject, your strategy should be to keep doing the question, keep doing as many question papers as possible, because that would only help you decide which, because that only will help you understand whether you are able to apply the knowledge that you have. Also, how it helps you, because in every subject, in IMS notes as well in books, a lot of content is given. But if you keep doing the question paper, especially the UPSC question paper, you would know which topics are important and which topic you can choose to ignore. Okay, that happens gradually. I would suggest from day, or like give 1 month just for preparing. After that, just sit with the question paper in your hand always. If you need, go print out all the question papers, and you always sit with your question paper as well as your syllabus, especially for mathematics optional. It is the most important part. Now, which question paper I'm talking about? I'm talking about the UPSC question paper, because in IMS test series, since it is a test series and they would want you to be prepared for any inevitable scenario, they do give you questions which are sometimes not, which sometimes do have very marginal utility for your UPSC exam. Okay, so for reference material, to understand what UPSC is trying to ask you, you should only rely on UPSC previous year paper. But if you are going for practice, then you can certainly go for IMS question paper. But I would again suggest first complete the UPSC papers and then go for IMS paper. Now, you would think UPSC paper are very few. What would they help you? Wrong. The beauty, mathematics is an optional in CSE as well as in IFOS. And IFOS essentially has the very same syllabus and the very same paper pattern. So what you are getting is, you are getting question paper from 1992 to 2000. That 2020. So essentially, you have 30 papers of UPSC and you have 30 papers of IFOS. That is, in essence, you have 60 paper of paper 1 and 60 paper of paper 2. On an average, in every UPSC paper, you have you have around 30 questions. Okay, considering all the 8 questions. On those 8 questions, you have subparts. So essentially, you have a base of 2,400 questions for every paper. And that is a very big question bank to have. You need to exhaust those resources before you move to any IMS test series. If you are able to utilize your UPSC CSC papers and able to solve every question, I would say do it once, twice. If you are very much fluent, then go to IMS test series and do as many questions as possible. Once you have done your theory part of it, then I would only suggest you to rely on the short notes and keep doing the questions. Your concept, they keep improving with any further question that you do. Okay, so this is it. And these are the things that I wanted to suggest. So what are the key points? You keep the syllabus with you. I'm summarizing here because I'm coming to the end of my session. Okay, I'm summarizing for you. One, you, very important, you keep the syllabus and you keep the question paper with you and you keep checking them. Second, use the mathematics drive. That is a very good resource. Third, make short notes when you have your first reading of IMS notes, and after that, keep doing question papers of UPSC and rely on those short notes. And if you find anything new, add to those short notes. Don't rely on mathematics huge notes, because they will be very difficult for you to keep revising again and again. You need to make your mathematics, you need to keep making your short notes, and those are the things that are going to help you. Keep solving the question. Now, that is all from my side. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. So I am seeing in chat, maybe you have certain, yes. If you have any question, you can let me know in chat and I would like to help you. Okay, first, how math option is advantageous for engineering background? Okay, yeah. So for engineering background students, it is helpful first in physics part of it, because since we in mechanical subject, you might have studied a physics optional, as well as while preparing for this IIT JEE, you probably would have done a high level mathematics especially from some subjects from graduation level. So that would help you in understanding the subject. Second, since you have an engineering background, you would have an inclination towards mathematics because you have keep doing it, and you would have a certain inclination towards derivation, the basic tools that you would need for mathematics: integration, derivation, calculation, and logarithmic function, what is continuity, and all these basic tools that you would require. So it would help you to understand it better. I believe for mechanical optional people, it is particularly good. I am not aware about other engineering services, so I would seek your apology on that. Now, another is I'm a housewife. Is math optional need more time for preparation? See, certainly, maths optional needs a lot of time, and that is the one of the things that I put a lot of emphasis on. Mathematics take a lot of time. You should be very easily giving into 5 or 6 hours every day for this mathematics optional only by itself. If, for example, if I have to do a question paper every day. So then that question paper takes me 3 hours for doing, and then further 2, 3 hours for the solution part of it. So every day you would need to give in 5 hours, 6 hours, especially in beginning. Later on, it depends on it depends on your whole acumen. Then how many months it takes to complete full syllabus? See, uh, um, I cannot say in months. I read at some place it said 7 or 8 months you can prepare your mathematics optional. It depends on your individual acumen. I would suggest that you see the syllabus and see it. It certainly takes a lot more time than any other subject, but then it has its own it has its own benefit as well. So that offset that part of it. Then in months, I would say that you take up if you take up this optional, take it up for 1 month and see how much are you able to cover, and probably that would give you an idea about your speed, and that will help you understand. Further, the months part would also keep into consideration the fact that you ought to have certain background knowledge. For a mathematics person from with graduation in mathematics, it would certainly be very easy to build upon. But for a person who's coming from engineering background with very less knowledge to mathematics, it would certainly take time. So what I would suggest is that you take up this option, give it 1 month, and see how you are faring with it. And that way you will essentially not waste a lot of your time, and you will make a informed decision. Okay. Then cons for the mechanical background only. I'm sorry, but I do not know the cons for mechanical background because I am from mathematics background. I think the cons would be the pure mathematics part of it. That is the problem that I realized my friends faced who are from mechanical background. They had a lot of problem in the pure mathematics part of it. So probably you would want to go and check out the syllabus of real analysis, complex analysis, and this modern algebra, and as well as calculus. So decide whether you are comfortable with these topics. You probably would have studied these topics in your first year. So I think that would help you. Okay. Okay. Does mathematical optional have dynamic questions? No. No. There is no event in the world that can affect mathematics community. There are no dynamic questions. The question is essentially the same static questions. There are no dynamic questions. And probably that is the beauty of it. Your suggestion for students trying to clear UPSC in first attempt with maths optional. My suggestion would be prepared for the pre, but focus a lot of your time on mathematics optional because it will take a lot of, if you would want to clear in first attempt, you would need to score very well in your optional. And for that, you will need to be at least once through the entire syllabus so that you don't see any new questions in exam. You are at least able to start or think about the question that you are going to face in exam. That is the only trick I can tell you. Ma'am, what is the probability to clear the exam in first attempt if we choose mathematics as optional? Honestly, I cannot comment upon that. it really depends on a lot of factor. It depends on your previous knowledge. It depends on exactly which category are you from, because that would also help you. Then it depends on how much how much good are you in GS part of it or essay part of it, or how much current affair that you are aware about. So I believe there are a lot of factors which are at consideration here, and mathematics as an optional is not the only factor that can help you get selected in first attempt. It's a lot of other things as well. You need, even I know a lot of people who are very talented, but they have not been able to get through pre, uh, despite being very clear in their optional as well as GS part of it. So I would say it is a very different. It is a very difficult thing for me to put a probability on it as such. It depends on your entire it depends on your acumen as well as your background as well as your past learnings and your past background. So that depends person to person, I believe. Ma'am, I am from maths background, but I didn't remember all the concepts clearly. I have secured above 85%. Shall I choose maths optional? See, if you have secured 85%, you would have certainly done well in your graduation, right? You do not remember the concepts clearly, but that is the reason you will study the concepts again. You are not going to write the paper tomorrow. You're going to write the paper after 1.5 years. So you have a lot of time to revise on those concepts. So I would suggest I would suggest that you certainly go through some topics and then decide. If you have 85%, I think you are a good student. And I would say that it will be beneficial for you if you are able to choose your subject. Honestly, I would have gone for it, but it depends on you. I would suggest you try to do the question paper or you try to revise the concept and see whether it come back. Okay. Ma'am, in exam hall, does it take more time to solve or we have enough time to complete quickly? See, we have very less time in exam halls. Essentially, the bigger problem here is what you have to do. Used to happen in our college, we never used to get choices for questions. So what you do, you see the paper, you start solving the paper, and you are able to complete the paper. But happens in UPSC, they give you 8 questions, out of which you are supposed to do 5. Now, if you're going to choose the question, and that choosing the question part takes a lot of time, because essentially, if you're choosing question number 5, you need to first in rough do the question, that okay, this is how you will proceed and this is how the answer is going to come. And you will have to do that for all the questions. You have to be very sure, okay, which question I can take. And then other dimension come, let's say you have 6 and 7 questions. And in 6, you are able to do 2 questions. In 7 also, you are able to do 2 questions. But then you have to make a choice. Okay, which one do I go for? And for that, in rough, you will have to try to do the question very fast and see whether you are aware about the concept or not. That is a very dicey situation, and that has a lot of luck factor as well in it. So that takes a lot of time in exam hall. Given infinite amount of time, I will certainly be able to complete the question. But the fact that it has a time constraint, that certainly make it difficult. And I was not able to complete my papers, so I don't know. And most people I talked to, they said that they did not have enough time to complete quickly. But then it depends on your own. It depends on your own speed and your own way of doing things. Ma'am, your journey about maths optional. Mm. Yeah, my journey with maths optional has been good. It's just that it's because I'm from mathematics background and I did not have any prior knowledge before coming to UPSC. Even I was not even aware about Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha division. So for me, it was an entirely new thing. The fact that mathematics was my subject helped me in my tough times where the whole day I was not able to study GS. So I could take up my subject and I could put in earplugs and blast some music and do some questions and feel good about myself. So the days that I was not scoring good in GS, I would feel happy that, okay, I'm at least able to do in mathematics. So that confidence was there. Okay, if I score less in GS, I probably will be able to do better in mathematics. But then it depends on your own learning, your own background in mathematics, and you all need to, where do you stand? So for that, the part that an objective assessment is very important is the most important thing. So what you do once we are done with the talk, you take your break, you take out the question paper, you take out the 2020 question paper, and just try to see, have you ever even come across such questions? Were those questions the same as those asked in your graduation? And you try to mark, okay, these are the subjects that I'm easy with, and these are the subjects I know. Or even in the syllabus, you take every pointer and see, okay, eigenvalue. Okay, do I know eigenvalue as a subject? Oh yeah, I know eigenvalue as a topic. Or first order linear differential equation. What is that? Second order linear equation. Do I know it? And this way, you will continuity, limit continuity, differentiability. Have I ever seen these topics? Am I aware about these topics? Am I curious enough to know about these topics? And that would help you go through. So my tip once again, and I assure you, you will not regret it ever. Sit with a question, take out a printout of a question paper, take out the printout of syllabus, and just sit and map the questions. Okay, you see what is the pointer in syllabus. On that syllabus, what is the question that they are asking? And then you will realize, yeah, it has a lot of interlinking, and you will realize whether you are aware about these topics or not, whether you are going to do good in these topics or not. And that would help you. And that is all. If you have any other query, I would thank you. I would address that. But then other than that, I do not have any other topics, and I could do with the session. Is there any other query of any other person? Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so I do not have any other query from any other person. So, with that, I would like to take your leave. I would like to congratulate you all that you have decided to embark upon this UPSC journey. It is going to be a beautiful one. I do hope that you all succeed, including me. We all succeed and we reach to a higher echelon where we do work for the service of our nation, and we take the nation to the greatest heights. We reach the highest possible echelon in our careers and get the academic as well as the intellectual fulfillment, which lead us to the self-fulfillment at the end. And with that, I would like to thank you all for hearing me so patiently and asking all your queries. It was a very fun session. I enjoyed talking to you people, and thank you very much.